Hi, I'm Dave Bundy, editor of the Lincoln Journal-Star, and we are visiting today with Tom Duden, who is a city council candidate in District 2, which is Southeast Lincoln, if you don't know your districts. So, Tom, thank you so much for being with us today. And I will say officially, that's the coolest background of any candidate we've interviewed. And we've been doing this for a few years. So
Very good, very good.
So, Tom, we're just going to dive right into the questions here. City council is it's controversial, difficult way to serve the public. Why do you want to be on the city council? And then tell me a little bit about your personal attributes and experiences that will help you as a city council member.
Well, I've got concerns in Lincoln about our public safety, especially our Lincoln Police Department, which has shrunk in the last 3 years from 284 street officers to less than 268 right now. And the mayor has been asserting that she's been adding police officers, but it must be on paper because the actual count is substantially different than what she is asserting. And I'm concerned about that. There's a rise in crime. I don't want any officers hurt. And I don't want any citizens hurt. And that was one of the priorities that I have as far as my campaign goes on why I wanted to run for the Lincoln City Council. Now, as far as my attributes, I lived in Lincoln all my life and went to school here. My family raised 5 children here, and Lincoln has always been a great city to live in, safe and good school systems, good support from politicians and from businesses alike. And I want that same thing to continue while I'm on the city council. I was a Lincoln police officer here for 26 years. So I know what it's like to be a public servant, and it was the best job I've ever had. I loved working as a police officer in the city of Lincoln. I got to know a lot of different community groups and leaders in those community groups. And I think that would be a benefit for me to have while on the city council. I'm also quite aware of how law enforcement works, and I know the challenges that they face. And I want to improve in the numbers of police officers so that we can get back to community-based policing, which can't be done right now because the officers are going from call to call to call, and they don't have time to spend an extra 10 or 15 minutes at a business or a school or at a community meeting or a PTA meeting or something like that. Those are the things that we used to do, at least when I was on the department. I left the Lincoln Police Department to become the Director of Human Resources and Facilities for Design Data Corporation. And was a successful software development company here in Lincoln, located at 14th and Old Cheney, just south of Culver's. And I worked for Jim Dagger for a series of years. And then after he sold the company, I left in 2018 and started my own business, Duden Private Investigations. So I am a Nebraska licensed private detective, and I've been doing that in kind of a part-time basis. But I'm also a teacher, a professor. I've been teaching at Duden University since 2009, teaching at the college level since 2004, and I teach criminal justice courses. I do the same through Southeast Community College, and I teach in Lincoln Public Schools, the Career Academy, and I teach criminal justice courses. So I have contact and teach juniors in high school criminal justice courses. So with that background, I feel like I'm very strong as it pertains to public safety. I'm concerned about the roads in Lincoln. They seem to be getting rougher, and while the mayor states that she's been repairing them, there are some streets in Lincoln that have been in disrepair for 5-6 years, and we need to get on top of that better, because I think it actually reflects the quality of life in the city of Lincoln, that when you have potholes, all over the place that haven't been repaired. And yes, you do see this pothole repair truck that spits a little bit of asphalt out and tamps it down, and off they go. But that just doesn't last long, and it doesn't really improve the surface of the roadway that much.
Okay.
So that is a concern. And I also have a concern about taxes in Lincoln. It seems to me that taxation has been increasing to a point where we're forcing senior citizens out of the city limits because of their property taxes. And I have some concerns about that. When people are on fixed incomes, those increases really hurt. And we have had a kind of a rapid rise in property values because of the economic conditions, which have gone up and now drastically back down because some companies are actually laying people off, and I don't know where we're going, or how that's going to end up, but I do know that we need to support senior citizens much better in Lincoln.
So just a couple of quick, you sort of went into the next question, which was what are the biggest issues facing the city? But I wanted to go back to a couple of things. First of all, as a member of city council, how do you propose having an impact on the taxes? Because property taxes obviously are handled by the county. There's a county assessor's office. The city council doesn't really have a direct, and the mayor doesn't really have a direct impact on that. So how would you make an impact on that?
Well, my investigative background is going to allow me to be a budget hawk, and I'm going to be able to report on fiscal inefficiencies. I want to look how we do everything in government and how we serve the people, because I think through finding some of these inefficiencies and improving some of those areas, we can actually do things for less money and possibly with less people. I'm not against doing more with less, as long as we can do it efficiently and not overload any certain employee group within the city limits of Lincoln. And I think that's where my background comes in, where I can look at some of the fiscal policies that we have, some of the budgets that exist, and look for places where we can save money.
And then the other part of that follow-up to your first question, I suspect there's an area where the mayor is adding and city is adding police officers. They're also losing them at a rapid rate. That there was a pay increase that made us more competitive, so officers weren't jumping to Omaha. What else needs to happen within the department to get police officers? It sounds like a lot of it is a matter of recruiting and retention. So what needs to happen with that?
Well, I think management starts at the top, and when you have personnel that are leaving or they can't wait to get out of there, that's an obviously problem with management. Yes, Lincoln is the highest paid law enforcement agency in the state. So why are officers leaving? Why are officers quitting LPD and going to the fire department? Why are they quitting and going to the city of Omaha? It's not because they didn't want to be cops. It's because they didn't want to be cops here. And I think there are some problems within management that's creating those types of issues. The city of Lincoln just spent $2.5 million for a building at 53rd and R Street to be the new Northeast team substation, as well as the 911 center. They put an additional $2.5 million into that building. Now, why would you build a police substation with one locker room for both male and female officers, with no doors onto the locker room as well? Yes, they have private showers on the west end of the locker room, and on the far east end of the locker room, they have private dressing rooms. And then you have a department that's had some issues with sexual harassment, but now you're going to have male and female officers dressing for work in the same locker room. That might be the San Francisco style, but I don't think that's the style for Lincoln, Nebraska. And that's an issue that's causing, I think, some friction within the law enforcement agency here in Lincoln, Nebraska.
All right, getting on to a different topic, what solutions do you see for increasing the inventory of affordable housing and sort of that missing middle income housing?
That's a good question. And I've visited with lots of contractors and even some land developers that have given me some ideas on what the city needs to do. And I think the city needs to be the lead on this and develop some public-private partnerships with developers and contractors so that when they go into an area that they want to expand and develop more lots for families and for housing, they need to extend it and go a little bit further with their streets and their water systems and their sewer lines and their electrical, so that we can create more lots, and that will eventually decrease the price of lots. Right now, lots in Lincoln range anywhere from $60,000 to $200,000 for a building lot. And no, startup families cannot afford that. And I don't want to see families growing up in apartment complexes here in Lincoln, or kids being raised in apartment complexes. So we need to promote that affordable housing. And we can do that by establishing these partnerships where we can actually extend our building zones and areas. Another thing that we need to do is we need to look at the codes and building codes here in Lincoln. Right now, contractors are telling me that it's the most unfriendliest atmosphere to build anything in Lincoln, period, because of the existing codes. And I think we need to really take a hard look at it. I know we need to have standardized codes, and we should look at those in comparison to other cities so that we allow codes to exist, but at the same time that we aren't forcing people to do extra things for their houses, which is adding $5,000 to $6,000 in costs to a house. We should allow those families to have the opportunity to make those decisions on what enhancements they want on their houses, instead of government telling them, this is what you have to have, this is what you have to build in Lincoln. I think we need to look at what's affordable for most families, and that will assist, I think, in developing more growth in Lincoln.
All right. The Lincoln Bold project sort of raised the issue of TIF again. What role should TIF play in Lincoln's development? Is the city using it too little, too much, in the wrong way? What do you think?
Well, yeah, TIF is not a free ticket for the taxpayer. That eventually catches up with them and causes them to end up paying taxes on properties that are given that TIF benefit. And it's a needed, actually, it's actually a good concept for blighted areas, but I think we really need to take a hard look at it so that we don't do too many of these TIF developments at the same time, because that becomes that goes on the backs of the taxpayers in Lincoln. It's not a free ticket that for the taxpayers when we do a TIF project. So I think we really need to get the stakeholders involved in making some of those decisions, and maybe some of the TIF projects should be voted on by Lincoln citizens, and let Lincoln citizens decide these TIF projects, instead of having a small group of politicians and contractors involved in making those decisions.
What do you think Lincoln needs to do to attract people and to fill vacant jobs?
Well, I think we have some strong pools for workers for Lincoln, and I think we should really concentrate on trying to keep our youth here in Lincoln. We have the University of Nebraska is one of the finest institutions in the country. We have Duden University and Wesleyan and Union College present here, and so we have a pool of workers coming out of these schools. But at the same time, I think we can also start with projects and programs where we're actually training plumbers, electricians coming out of high school, because not everybody wants to go to college. And that would actually help us with the supply of workers for contractors and developers here in Lincoln. And I tell you, there's a lot of well-to-do plumbers that started very young, and they're making really good money for their families. What have you? I have a stepson that's works for a contractor here in Lincoln, and he's done quite well. And I think a lot of young families can benefit from that. So I think we do have a pool, but I think we need to expand the training and the education, and develop more programs for youth that want to do plumbing, HVAC, electrical. I think there are some jobs there. You know, I teach out at the Career Academy, and that's a pathway for some of these careers. They actually have diesel mechanics out there, welders, they have a welding program. And I think that's just the start of things. I think we should expand on that to help fill some of those jobs and some of those voids that businesses are looking for.
All right, well, we are to my last question, which I told you was kind of open-ended. You can use it if you got a stump speech, but the way we word the question is, what have we not asked you that you wish we would have?
Well, I tell you, you know, I have a deep passion for doing things right. I'm a very much a results oriented person. I'm a forward thinking person. I'm very open to new ideas. I think you get to be at that state as a teacher, as an instructor. I've learned to adapt in my life when bad things have happened. And I think every family in Lincoln goes through a period like that. I can remember when I was vice president of Lincoln Police Union Charities, and we helped underprivileged children at Christmas time. We also supported the Lincoln Plumber Camp, which doesn't exist anymore. I think government should have a small footprint on everyone's life, and the least is better when it comes to government involvement. So sometimes I think we get over involved in trying to manage people's ideas and their lives, and that's not the purpose of government. Government employees are supposed to be employees by the people, and I want to preserve that as a city council person for the city of Lincoln. And I'll do the same in representing my constituents. So you say it's open-ended, and I would say if you want to support my position, you can go to my website to learn more about me. It's tomduden.com. And if you want to volunteer and help walk and go door to door, I have a door knocking program on the weekends that we've been doing. I believe, in fact, I think if I'm elected, I'm going to continue going door to door, because I want people to tell me how I'm doing. And if they've got some ideas on things that I should explore as a city council representative for people that live in Lincoln. So, and I don't care what district you come from, I'll talk to anybody.
All right, well, I've known a couple of city councilmen, and I don't think too many people. There's a certain segment that's not shy at all. No company reach the other one. All right, well, Tom, thank you very much for joining us today. Glad we were able to have this conversation, and wish you the best on May 2nd.
You bet. Thank you very much.
Right,
take care.
thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.